Good afternoon. We are going to get started. I want to thank all of you for coming out this afternoon to hear about this exciting initiative that we have here at Southfield Public Schools. You know, this is my 37th year as an educator, and each year I think, can't get more excited than the project we're doing at that time. But I want to tell you that this is one of the most exciting initiatives that this district has undertaken. Last year, in about June or July, we started looking at our data. We looked at not only our test scores, we looked at our demographic data, we looked at our student pattern shifts, and we looked particularly at secondary, and we said we need to do something different. You've heard a lot over the past year about education at the secondary level in traditional high schools, but you've also heard a lot about how schools need to be designed to support kids. And so we decided, based on the data that we had about what was happening in Southfield, that we needed to do something different, particularly at high school. And we wanted to design a system that focused on children and their needs. So with my 4 high school principals, and they might say I wasn't as excited at that time, I was a little more grumbling about what we were going to do, but they came on board with the support of our partners from Wayne State, and we embarked on a redesign of our entire secondary system. We didn't want to do program by program, because programs go, some stay, but they're not sustained. We wanted to change our entire system because we wanted a systematic change that would continue to support our students. So again, with the help of our partners, we embarked on this redesign, and what we are going to share with you today is our vision of a new secondary system that is focused on supporting children at the secondary level. You will see a lot of focus on that 9th grade transition and helping students make it over that transition so that they can start high school ready academically and emotionally. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our Associate Superintendent up, Dr. Linda Wood, who will give you an overview of that redesign, and then you'll hear from each of our principals to see what it's going to look like at each of their settings. Because what we've put together here is a continuum of educational experiences, because we too know one size does not fit all. Dr. Wood?
Good afternoon. I have to say that Dr. Cook Robinson provided a wonderful reason why we needed to make some adjustments and some changes. You hear the phrase good to great, and we know that we have some very good things in place in our district at the secondary level, but we also know, after looking at the data, very clearly there are some things that we needed to do to become even greater. And we also identified that many of the needs at the secondary level are at those transitional years, the years of 8th grade and the years of 9th graders as they're coming into the district. The research continually supports that those are 2 of the most difficult years for our children, and those are the years that 3 to 5 times children at the 9th grade level will fail, will slip through the cracks, and they need so much more as it relates to mentoring and support and a close-knit environment. Here in our district, and we articulate it so often at the secondary level, that relationships are key. And for our children at the transitional year, we've got to do all that we can to provide the kind of relationships and the kind of attention, not only from a counselor, but from teachers, where teachers are working together. And many of you may know a little bit about the high school environment, that children are programmed and they are moving across that building, going to classes, going to different teachers that may not always have the connectedness that we know is critical for their relational and their success. And so those were 2 of the important pieces that will be unfolding as we articulate with the principals. I will just quickly say that not only are we looking at 9th grade, but we're looking at 8th grade too, and they will articulate that. We're looking at single gender in some of our buildings. We're looking at bringing the 8th graders in to have more of a support and continuum with some really rigorous programming. But I have to say that one of the driving philosophies that our superintendent has put in place, and I believe wholeheartedly, is that we need structure, but we need flexibility within our models. We also know that one model will not meet the needs of all of our children. So when you hear our principals speak, you will hear them speak of 8th and 9th grade programs that may not look always the same at every building. What is going to occur at Southfield Lathrop will look a little bit different than what will occur at Southfield High and at University High versus SRAC. But what you will hear are structures, and there's creativity and variation within that structure. And so without me having to go into all the details, we have a tremendous leadership team, and I would like to start with our comprehensive high schools, because that is where our 9th graders will be making their transition from middle school as well as outside the district. And one of the things that the superintendent mentioned, she talked about data. And we have looked at a lot of data. And one of the things that we clearly have unfolded from the data is that we're getting a lot of new kids into our district at that 9th grade level. And so because that is probably the highest incidence of new students coming into our district at a time when our kids are the most vulnerable emotionally, vulnerable in terms of peer pressure, vulnerable in terms of their skill at knowing what is this high school experience going to be like, vulnerable in terms of their preparation for the rigor that they need to pierce through to get ready for college. They're vulnerable. And so with that, I'd like for our 2 high school comprehensive principals to share just briefly, because we're not planned to be here all afternoon, and they can talk like I can too sometimes about the wonders of their building. But I'd like for them to come and just share a little bit about what you're planning to do with the 9th grade in your building. We'll start with Southfield Lathrop.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Cook-Robinson. Thank you, Dr. Wood. Southfield Lathrop High School and all the high schools in the district and in the city of Lathrop Village and Southfield understand that 9th graders are having a very difficult time adjusting to high school. And this transition time, it's up to us to have a vision for what we can do at our buildings to help them with this transition. At Lathrop High School, we're going to make sure that the building isn't as intimidating as the 39 acres of land that we have there. So we're going to bring the kids into one wing of the building so that they can have a little bit easier time adjusting to such a large building as Lathrop has. We're going to keep them in one wing. Our goal is to have a counselor in that wing with the students, and the counselor will focus on a lot of things that students have a difficult time understanding when they come to a high school. We're going to be dealing with college readiness skills, because getting ready for college starts not only in 9th grade, but in the middle school level, but we can impact it at the 9th grade. They have to take a look at their high school transcripts and understand in the 9th grade year, this is one of the most important years. This is the year that a lot of students have trouble. That's where they trip at. So we want to make sure that we explain what the high school transcript is all about so that they're taking it seriously from day one. Making sure they understand appropriate behavior in a high school, going over study skills, and understanding the entire high school experience. That extracurricular activities are what universities want to see on a student's transcript, and also it's what makes the high school experience what everybody understands it to be. We're also going to make sure that we look at the data from all of our incoming students, because we're getting them from all over the place, not only from our school district, and because they have these different levels, we're going to make sure that we're offering opportunities to take Read 180 classes. These are our classes that can help enhance the skills along with their English classes. And we're going to make sure they have an opportunity to take Algebra Lab class, which is in addition to their regular algebra class. So they're going to get a double dose in the areas that we recognize are the deficiencies in a lot of our incoming students. So taking a look at that and giving them an opportunity to be in our academies, Lathrop High School has a science and medical academy, and we also have the Communications and Arts Academy. But at the same time, we have one of the 5 IB programs in Oakland County. There's 21 in the state of Michigan, but having this IB program is also going to be there for the students of all backgrounds, students of all skill level, but it's there to make sure the students have a lot of extra rigor that we know is very important in the high school level. At this time now, I'm going to bring forward Mr. Horn. Mr. Horn is going to talk about some of the changes that will be at Southfield High School.
Thank you, Mr. Spryzak. Good afternoon, and thank all of you for being here as we unfold and unveil some exciting changes in Southfield Public Schools. Of course, I'd like to thank our illustrious, magnanimous superintendent. I'd also like to thank the leadership team of Dr. Wood and Mrs. Trimp, and also you, Mr. Turner. But more importantly, I'd like to thank you all for being here. I know I have 3 minutes, and 2 minutes and 50 seconds are gone. Let me tell you, one of the most difficult times for students is as they matriculate from middle school to high school. There are entrance and exit points. One of the things we'd like to do at Southfield High School next year, given the fact that we know our students are having difficulty matriculating, is we're going to assign all of our students, as Southfield Lathrop said, we're going to assign them to A House. A House is where all of our ninth graders will be for all of their core academic classes. But to go steps further, we're going to have single gender classes. We're going to have all the young men in one class and all the young ladies in one class for core curriculums. Now, when they go to their electives, because you want kids to get educational in totality. But as we relate to academics, the core curriculum, we will have single gender classes. We also have rearranged some of our teachers. What we're going to do next year, we're going to take some of our teachers who have worked with seniors and juniors in AP classes, and we're going to help them as they move down and help the ninth graders. We've already had that discussion. At Southfield High School next year, we will have 5 academic academies: the Advanced Studies Academy, the Business Academy, Engineering Academy, the Global Studies Academy, and the Human Services Academy. Every ninth grader entering Southfield High School next year must choose one of those academies. They will be supported as we will build into our master schedule mentoring time for all ninth graders. It's 25 minutes every day. We have built in mentoring time. Now, the mentors will come from seniors, it will come from field trips, and guest speakers. But we think it is more important, or just as important as we talk about education, as we also talk about the social aspects of ninth grade development. Southfield High School's 520,000 square feet with 1,013 students. So it is important that we make this transition as seamless and as smooth as possible. Also academically, next year, when ninth graders take tests, and 10th graders are doing it now, but all ninth graders will take time tests. Every test they take will be timed. We are getting them ready to take that all-important ACT test in the 11th grade. So we're structured, we're timed, and they're also will be taking the MAP test, which the district has done a great job in allowing all students to take this test. We will also provide ACT tests, ACT classes for ninth graders. They'll be by semesters. Finally, and we think the most important aspect of this ninth grade transition is that we are hopeful that they will be assigned a designated counselor as we try to work with this transition. Again, I'd like to thank you all for being here on such a positive note. And at this time, I'd like to introduce the esteemed, most accomplished, right, before I say something else.
Before he adds something else. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marcia Williams, and I'm the Dean at University High School, and we're happy to have you on our campus today. For those of you who haven't heard of us, I'd like to share with you briefly, about 30 seconds, some information about our school. We opened up 5 years ago under the premise that we wanted to, again, expand high school programming options for students in Southfield and Lathrop Village. And so we have a small high school environment. We started with a ninth grade class and we added a grade in each year as they transitioned into the next grade. Our first class graduated last June, and we're preparing now for the second graduation. And we opened as a STEM school, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But what we have found is that our students have strong interests in the area of medicine and in the area of art. So we are preparing to expand from STEM to STEAM squared. And so we'll continue with science, technology, we'll have art. We have 3 art classes we're offering now. We're expanding to advanced placement studio art, as well as our mathematics curriculum, and we're offering some introductory medical courses in the fall, microbiology and medical terminology, and that will support already our AP, biology, chemistry, and physics that we're currently offering. The major addition or expansion or change that will happen here at the U will be the addition of an 8th grade program for district students and students who are in the community called University High School Preparatory Academy, or for short, UPrep. And in the fall, we're going to welcome 2 sections of 8th grade students to the high school. They will continue with traditional 8th grade courses in the area of English and in social studies. However, they're going to have some additional opportunities in science, where they will take integrated science, which is typically a 9th or 10th grade science course. And they will have a year of language, either Mandarin or Spanish. They will be integrated with the high school students in the area of math. So many of our 8th graders will be in algebra or geometry. The rare exception would be a student who would need the advanced algebra 2 with trig. We're also expanding our college readiness series. We have a very extensive 4-year series for our students. Our 8th grade students will have the opportunity to spend time on college campuses, and there will be some reflective writing included as we prepare them for the common application that they complete during the freshman year, and then their college interviews that occur during the sophomore years. We're also doing the same thing as our colleagues, where they will begin preparation for ACT based on their plan scores. All of our 8th graders will take the plan, which is normed for the 10th grade, but currently our 9th and 10th grade students take it. We're going to have our 8th grade students take it so that we can use that data to better prepare them for the test that is so important to all of the high schools in the state of Michigan. Our 8th graders will participate in sports with our middle school programs, and we'll have a myriad of clubs and organizations in which they may participate, including, National Honor Society, Student Congress. We'll have a Junior NSBE chapter for them, and they'll be able to join our World Languages Club. And we travel biannually, and so we'll be traveling next year to Paris and Madrid, and they will also have an opportunity to travel with us every other year. So we're really excited about giving them the opportunity to be prepared in the 8th grade for the rigors of University High School, the transition that occurs with the change in homework that they receive from middle to high school, and we are prepared to welcome them. At this time, I will introduce my colleague, Mr. Marty Bulger, who is the principal at the Southfield Regional Academic Campus.
Good afternoon. It is an honor to stand before you to speak about the positive changes that are occurring in the Southfield Public Schools. First of all, as the 3 principals who've gone before me have stated, this dynamic is unique in that with an alternative school, which I like to call a creative education environment, creative education. In an alternative school, students are able to take physics courses, chemistry. They're able to take statistic courses. That dynamic in and of itself lends us an opportunity to show people that we are different, we are unique. And that dynamic is important because that was our directive at the start of the school year. Maintain your unique identity, but create opportunities for students to be successful. Our school, the Southfield Regional Academic Campus, consists of 2 programs, the Transition Academy, which is a program to help what we call freshmores, second-year students, matriculate and transition better to the high school rigors, and the LEAP Academy, which is designed to help students who are credit deficient achieve credits for graduation. We're proposing a name, and I like the word aspire. So we're coming up with a name that has not been approved yet for our 8th grade program, which we will have starting in the fall, the Aspire Leadership Academy. Of course, that name has not been approved, but that's what we're pushing for. Our program will allow those 8th grade students to be involved in a 5x5 block with 4 core courses as well as 4 core support courses. That means those students will not only get math, science, English, and social studies, but they will also get core support courses in all of those classes, as well as 2 additional courses in that 5x5 block. I could speak about that on and on and on, but I'd like to tell you one more thing. In our building, we focus on 5 pillars, 3 of which I call the CIA, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. The other 2, simply relationships and graduation. Kids do not care what you know until they know that you care. Again, we're so grateful that you're here, and hopefully you've gotten a lot of information from us to know what we're about and what we're planning to do. And at this time, I believe the superintendent is going to come back up as we start our Q&A. Thank you.
I want to thank you, and I just want to tell my dynamic secondary leadership team how proud I am of them today. You have done well. I'd also like to, at this time, bring up Ms. Aaliyah Carter, who is a representative from Wayne State University, our partners, just to have a few words.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. I bring you greetings from the Dean from the College of Education, Dr. Carolyn Shields. We're at a transformational point as an institution and being a central hub to our metropolitan areas and our communities, and we're excited to hear the things that you're doing here in Southfield. It's amazing how what we say, the 3 R's, and that being rigor of the curriculum and its relevance to the students and the relationships that we build. And so that's really, really important to us, and we're here as a resource to an excellent leadership team, to innovative instructors, and to students who need us. We're about creating access and opportunities for all those who are involved, and so we're just honored to be a part of this and to partner with great institutions and schools like this so we can see that continuum, what we call P20 education, because it's not about a disconnect, it's about how we put everyone through, because our lives are built on educational success. So once again, my hat goes off to everyone and all those involved, all the parents and the students with the leaders and teachers here in the Southfield School District. Thanks.
At this time, we're going to take questions and answers for about 10 to 15 minutes. Are there any questions?
I was just wondering, a lot of talk has been given to how 9th grade transitions are going to occur, but I was wondering how will some of these changes affect current students? In particular, for instance, for classes involving 9th grade students and current students, how would that work exactly?
I'm going to bring my 4 principals up too, because they live in this environment every day.
Well, before they start, I'll just attempt to address your question. We care about all of our kids, for sure, and we're working hard with all of our children. But we know that we have seen from data that more of our children are coming into the district new to Southfield Public Schools. And I know that many of you in the audience have been at our board meetings and hear often when we present that the longer students have been in Southfield, the more productive, the better that they are. And they're on that continuum for success. So we want to make sure that we're putting in place all those things so that when children come as an aggregate, and when I say the aggregate, I'm not talking just about the academic data and support. It's those relationships, the peers. And so the small communities for the 9th grade really make a difference. And so I'll let the principals add to that.
As far as the space from my building and most of the buildings, that space will not impact any other students because we have enough room in the building. It's just a matter of moving things around a little bit, making sure that we have them in a more specialized area of the school building. So that won't impact the students at all there. The staffing will be the same. We're just going to be a little smarter with who we put in the right places and making sure that we have the right staff members to work a little with the ninth graders because we know they're a little needier than the other students are at this point.
Other questions?
I can address that. As far as the effect on the other students, I think what it's going to do is allow for the other students to become mentors for the younger students, for the new students. It'll give them the opportunity to say that, well, I'm in a position to help another young person transition. We have a leadership council at our school, and we spend a lot of time partnering students with others, especially those who are new. And as was said earlier, there's a lot of transition that goes on. And so when a student comes in October or November, they'll need someone to buddy up with them and just show them the way, show them the way, show them how we do it.
I had a question about the single gender classes. What's the thinking behind that, and will every high school have that?
Good afternoon, and thank you for asking that question. Eons ago, when I was principal at Brace Letterly School, we did extensive research on single gender classes. Thus, we had single gender classes at Brace Letterly. We found that our test scores improved, the academic success of our students improved, and through our research, if we check some schools, as we did several years ago in Baltimore and Philadelphia, they subscribe to the single gender classes. Our first year at Southfield High School, we had single gender classes. What we noticed is that academically, our girls, who are usually, they're more academically, don't want to say smarter because I see some gentlemen sitting in here. They tend to do better. They are a little more focused. Focus was the word I was going to use for the boys, that when their girls are not in the classes, the boys are more focused. And we find that boys take more chances in answering questions. They focus more on their classes. Girls are the most competitive when we look at this. Teachers have to prepare a little more because girls are very competitive. And so when we look at the focus of this process, when we look at what we want from results, as this matriculation process takes place, now it won't happen when they're in the 10th grade. It's only going to happen in the 9th grade. We move them into one house, we put them in single genders, we give them the mentoring process. So we think that we're going to have some tremendous results from this process because we've tried it before and we've done it.
Also with that, Mr. Horn, he also instituted a leadership program for the young men and the young ladies as well. So at Southfield Regional, we're going to use the single gender single gender diagram as well, because we also have for our students Project Manhood, which is a male mentoring program. We have Project Womanhood, which is a young ladies mentoring program, and then we also have a partnership program with Women of Tomorrow, which is a national mentoring program that was started in Florida. And so all of these classrooms fall into alignment with those enrichment programs for the students as well. So if I have a speaker from Women of Tomorrow and they want to talk to the young ladies, I don't have to move them because I've already got them separated. And so it feeds into the other things that we're working on with respect to relationships.
I'll just add one thing. You asked the question as to whether or not every high school would have single gender classrooms, and the answer to that is no. University High School and Southfield Lathrop are alternative options for those students who don't want to participate in the single gender classroom setting.
Other questions?
I I just had a question about the budget implications with the redesign. Someone can talk about it.
Budget is usually my area. And one of the things that we had to do from the onstart, I told them that it had to be very few or zero new dollars, which meant we had to re-engineer. We had to look at what we had and look at how we could re-engineer using the same dollars. There may be a few, and my CFO is grinding her teeth right now, but there might be a few additional dollars as we add the counseling support. But everything else is hopefully going to be done by re-engineering the dollars that we have. Now, by bringing 8th graders over to the U, we might have to add a few dollars there because this is a population that she didn't have before. So, but other than that, we're thinking very, very few budget implications. Other questions? Yes. Hi.
Hi, how are you? I'm curious then, how are you going to market this to the households whose parents are not sending their kids to Southfield Public Schools?
That is an excellent question. I'm going to bring my PR manager up here because she has a plan.
Repeat the question, please.
I'm just wondering how you're going to market this to the households whose children do not attend Southfield Public Schools.
How are we have a multi-layered and a multi-tiered approach. We've done some research, and so we are continuously familiarizing ourselves with our demographic, and so we're using the channels that we know that our targeted demographic is listening to, and so we're going to market, through just a variety of means.
If I could just give you an example, one of the things that Dr. Wood hosts is a special programs night. And you might have heard that on, is it 92.3?
Yes.
Yes, we've used the radio, we've used our own channel, TV cable station. The city of Southfield also helps us in terms of advertising. So we've tried very hard to get the word out, and we will continue to do that. Because I like to bring all my children home.
In fact, this evening, I had planned on taking my wife to White Castle for dinner, but tonight we have a meeting for all parents at Michigan First at 7 p.m. So it is our hope tonight that we will have a big turnout for potential parents at Michigan First tonight at 7 p.m. I said that twice on purpose. Thank you.
Other questions? Yes. Hi.
How do you see special ed integrating into all of these changes? I mean, what's your insight?
That question is an outstanding question. When I first got to the Southfield Regional Academic Campus a little over 4.5 years ago, we did not have support services programming. I think it was the middle of the year. Superintendent said, let's do it. We did it. She gave us some room. What we do at our school is, since we're on a block schedule, our students receive support courses on one segment of the schedule. So our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday schedule allows for that. Our Tuesday, Thursday schedule allows for support services instructors to pull students out of their core courses or their core support courses and provide any type of support, additional support. It's an awesome setup, and that's how we address it for our support services students.
In addition, at Southfield High and Southfield Lathrop, there will be support students there involved in the program at the 9th grade, and they will receive this support also. And for many of you who may not know, at the secondary level, we piloted starting, I think, 1.5 years ago, our STEP program. We have students in the district that are between the ages of 18 and 26 and have IEPs and have challenges. We have a program for them where they participate in functional academics half the day. The other half day, they are at New Horizons in a workshop learning a skill. They get a paycheck every 2 weeks, and many of them are out on jobs. So, and we will continue to expand that. We also have a program with Michigan Rehab, which is a match program where we have community-based instruction. And that is at both high schools, and we will continue that.
We have time for one last question.
I was just curious if there had been any collaboration with other communities regarding this program. Any sort of kind of communities that border Southfield, have they been brought in to discuss any of this?
No, this is a Southfield initiative. This is our secondary system, and so the discussion has been here. Now, we have had our village, as we call it, as we discussed the city. You'll see Shelley sitting back there. We had a partnership council meeting just yesterday that would impact these youngsters. So our village is here in terms of the community of Southfield, businesses in Southfield, and the city of Southfield. But no, we have not discussed this with other communities. This is a Southfield initiative.
So that concludes our press conference. So thank you for coming. We appreciate your support.